Okay. All right. So since this is one of the kind of open roundtables that doesn't really have a specific topic, there wasn't really any content to teach today or to share today, I thought, and we're a little bit smaller group, so I thought we could just go round robin and introduce ourselves by saying your name and what club you're from, what your role is. And then maybe share something that is going really well with Rotary for you this year, and then maybe something that is kind of a stretch goal or something you're thinking about moving forward. So I will choose, and then once you share yours, go ahead and like toss the ball to someone else. So I will toss the ball to Wendy.
Good morning, Wendy. Well, good afternoon, Wendy Anderson. I'm actually the executive director of the St. Claresville Chamber of Commerce, and I'm a part of the Rotary of St. Claresville, which is a noon Rotary. And we are really very excited because we have a very large group. And every Tuesday, it gets bigger and bigger. We just have a lot of fun with our group. Yesterday, we had the honor of having First Lady Fran DeWine on our Tuesday. She did a Zoom with us because we're supporting the Imagination Library. So we were absolutely packed just Tuesday. But the one thing we're working on is trying to get the younger people to join, because our age is probably somewhere around 40 up. And so we're trying to get those younger people. So we're working with Interact and Rotaract. So that's something that we're really working on, and that's one of our goals.
Thanks, Wendy. Welcome. And if you want to choose someone to throw the ball at.
Okay, Mike.
Okay, I had to unmute myself. Mike Lieber, I'm with the Lancaster Noon Club. I forget my official title. I'm like second to be president soon, and I do membership, and I do anything Jenny tells me to do after Matt Weidman recommends it. So, which leads me to say to Jenny, and the rest of you can listen. I've got a script drafted. I'll draft. I mean, I'll type it out, and I've talked to my friend Bob. Bob's on board, and we'll get Mary Jane on board and some other people. And I think this could happen. Really, I think it's going to happen. It's a project we've been working on. I guess I'm really excited about our Interact clubs. We have two Fisher Catholic, local Catholic school here in town. They've been strong for a couple of years, or 3 or 4 years. Martin Barker does a really nice job with them. They're actually redoing a room at Fisher School. They've given them a room, and they're transforming it. One of the people that helps Martin from our club is an architect, engineer type person. So they're doing some design work, and they've got a couple of grants they've got to use some material to redo this room at Fisher Catholic. So that's really a cool thing. The Lancaster group, one that I work with, they've gotten organized and really excited about some of the opportunities there. They're working on a hunger project. They're also going to come to our club again. They came in mass about a month ago. They're going to come again in April. So they're working on a habitat playhouse project. And then they're going to decorate a stud for a Habitat for Humanity. So they're a very energetic group, and it's been fun to see them grow a little bit. So I'll call on Matt Weidman because he's there.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Are we just giving updates? I showed up late to the party.
Oh, you're introducing yourself, telling what club, what your role is, something that's going well, and then something you're kind of working on. And then you pick someone else.
Great. Okay, Matt Weidman, each one bring one person for the district membership committee and past president of the Lancaster Club. And something I've been working on, well, something that's going well is despite my involvement, the Each One Bring One model that was introduced this year is going great. We've got a lot of clubs participating. I was actually getting ready to pull up the data when Mike called on me, but suffice it to say, though, it's going real well. We've got a lot of clubs participating. We have a lot of different people participating. I had new people this past month for January whose names I have not seen before, and clubs that I haven't seen before, which to me is a good sign. Yeah, I'm real happy. Some of the clubs mention when they tell me that a member brought somebody, they'll say, oh, and that person's likely to become a member or is in the process of becoming a member. And so that's exactly what this whole thing's designed to do. So real impressed with that. Jenny developed all of the materials and the format and everything else for that. So all credit to her and to whomever's idea it was to begin with also. But I just run the raffle and keep data, but the data looks good. So that's good. Something I'm working on, I am trying to get a Rotaract club at OUL, which is Ohio University Lancaster. We made a deal and got in front of some students. So far, I've only spoken to one class, but I feel like it went very well. The conversion rate on that, I'm not sure about yet. I'm waiting to find out. The professor emailed me back and said she thought the 2 students were going to reach out to me to get involved in championing that. And I have not heard from either one of them. So that's where we're at. I'll keep you posted on that. Steve, did you already go? Steve Sambo?
No. Oh, Steve Sambo. Great. That's right.
I have not. I'm here just as a listener and a learner. And I think I'm excited because we're really having some open and frank conversations about membership that for many, many years, we tended to stick our heads in the sand and think if we did nothing new, that everything would continue to be great. But I'm excited that we're actually having frank conversations about changes that we need to make at the club level or the district level or the zone level to be attractive to that next generation. And when I say next generation, I'm not always talking younger, because I think a lot of, early retirees and, can be part of that next generation also. So anyway, I'm excited that we're no longer not able to say we got some challenges ahead of us, folks, and deal with them head on. Oh, I was supposed to call on somebody. Erin.
Sorry, I had to step away for just a second. Had something going on here in the office. But I am Erin Daly. I am president-elect for Jackson's Rotary. And so I'm kind of just here listening and kind of getting ideas for ways as I start my presidency here soon. Amanda's counting on that being soon. Starting my presidency, that I'll just ways to be able to get new members. And I think, we do have an Interact club that is active. And I think that's one way we'll be in the future to start getting some of those younger members, but that's going to be several years to come. But we've been working on ways to try to just reach out to people in our community and be able to get more members into our club. And Amanda's been doing a great job as president. Yes, Jenny says Jackson's crushing it. She's going to leave big shoes to follow. So I guess I will, since I'm talking about Amanda, I'll turn it over to her.
Good afternoon. So I think the things that Jackson's doing well is that we have started a peace building club, that we've become a peace builder club, and we're really trying to get that off the ground. I actually just made contact with our Interact advisor this morning, and I'm going to go meet with them at their next meeting on the 15th and talk to them about maybe being a peace building club as well and how we can work together to do that. I think that our biggest challenge is that we were getting on a roll where the place where we're meeting right now, it only allows us to meet every other week. And so getting back into the groove of meeting every week, we instituted a social meeting every other week. So the off weeks where we're not meeting in person, we started a social where we would meet one morning at Bob Evans. And then in 2 weeks, we would have a dinner or a social gathering in the evening. And that was a little bit painful because we were just trying to get people to attend those things. And then we had a really bad COVID surge in our county. Hospitals were full, and we just felt like it was not the best time for us to continue that. So we've postponed the social gatherings. We even canceled our in-person for 1 week. We're back to doing the in-person again, and just trying to get back to some sense of continuity with meetings. So that's our biggest challenge right now.
And if you want to,
I'm supposed to call on somebody, sorry. Steve Heiser, have you? All right.
I have not. Thanks, Amanda. Steve Heiser, I'm with Columbus Rotary. I'm new club development chair on the membership committee. And, you know, basically what I'm excited about is we've got a tremendous amount of activity on new club development. And I'm still pressing to have to have five new clubs this year. I've not given up on that yet, and I think we're getting there. So and I was excited about that. I also happened to talk to our district treasurer, John Bogopol, this morning, and I was excited because Hilliard Rotary has been having some issues the last couple of years, and John said, I think we're turning it around. I think we found a new place to meet, and I think our club's starting to do a lot of activities, and we've inducted 2 or 3 new members recently, and so you know you start to hear these things, and and it makes you realize that you know for all of the issues we've had, now things are really starting to look up, and that really excites me. And I will call on our DGE, Price Finley next. And let Price tell us what he's doing this week.
I'm just sitting around, kind of, I don't know, pushing paper around, that sort of thing. No, I've been since Monday, actually Sunday night, started the virtual International Assembly, which is the training forum for the incoming district governors. And of course, you know, as MJ experienced last year, it was virtual for her. It's virtual for me. It's different, obviously, than being with 500 some folks from around the world in Orlando, as it was supposed to have been. But they've done a great job pivoting and putting on a really good program. And we've had some really good discussions in breakout sessions every morning that are about 15 to 20 district governors elect from around the world. Some involve the use of interpretation services, translation services. And so it's been really, really great discussions. The thing I'm excited about right now, a couple of things. One, Steve, I got your whole thing covered, because Rotaract clubs are now Rotary clubs. They are no different from Rotary clubs. So you've got, what, 10 more Rotary clubs, MJ, this year, as we add Rotaract clubs into the mix. And it's real, and there's a lot of opportunity. And of course, in some cases, you know, growing pains as we go through all that, as clubs understand that a Rotaract club is not dependent upon sponsorship by another club anymore. They can just be completely standalone. You do not age out of a Rotaract club anymore. You used to age out at 30, and you don't anymore. And it was really interesting on a couple of these sessions. We had some district governors elect from around the world who were, you know, my age, and said, well, if I could have stayed in my Rotaract club, I would have stayed in my Rotaract club. That's what I would have done. They felt they had a lot of energy there. So I think it's really great what's happening in that space. There's a lot of opportunity. We also had a great diversity, equity, and inclusion both a presentation in a general session, and then in the breakout, some really great discussion about embracing diversity, equity, and inclusion. And then one more thing that Steve mentioned when we were doing our DEI district session a week and a half ago that I didn't understand. He said, and the fourth one is belonging. And I'm like, what? I never heard of that. And I heard it, then I heard it this week. So Steve's ahead of the curve. And I will pass it to my district governor, MJ.
Thank you, Prize. And hello, everyone. So let's see, Mary Jane Shackelford. I am the current district governor for District 6690. My home club is the Zanesville Daybreak Club. I have so much to be excited about and grateful for. Certainly for the team that's on this call right now, Jenny and Matt and Steve Heiser and Steve Sambo and Mike Knoll, who's with our district training team. So I am extremely grateful and excited about how things are progressing in regard to membership and obviously other things like foundation, peace building, and so forth. But in regard to membership, the team is just doing a phenomenal job. As Matt mentioned, the Each One Bring One is a huge success. I think my club, for example, I don't know how many members we have actually, or people we have introduced to our club, but we've got several of our newer members really bringing in and taking it seriously and bringing in lots of new members, I think, or exposing people to Rotary anyways. And I think today, for example, there were probably 5 people that were new to our group and were introduced. So we've got, woohoo, exactly. So, you know, I know my club is really taking that to heart. And I know that many clubs throughout our district, I think, Jenny, when you and I talked, the number was at least 32 clubs. And Matt, you mentioned that some new clubs are participating. So I think that number has gone up. So I'm extremely excited about that. Certainly appreciative for Steve Heiser's work on innovative new clubs and things like that. So everyone's doing a phenomenal job. I think the thing that we're struggling with really is just we did lose a club. So I started the year with 59 clubs and currently we sit at 58 clubs. So but as I mentioned to Jenny and Price when we talk, I really do feel like the district has built a great foundation and we're doing all the right things. And so I am not really concerned about that number, even though I know that, you know, Steve Sambo and the zone and things are looking at the numbers, but I know that we're doing the right things. And I think if we continue moving forward on the Each One Bring One and promoting and connecting new members and doing that new member welcome wagon and all the things that we're doing and working on new clubs and talking about Rotaract clubs and integrating Interact members and have them transition to Rotaract clubs, I think that Price's year and District Governor nominee David Wool and then District Governor nominee designate Gary Baker will see the benefits of all the hard work that the team is doing, and we are set to really, I think, explode. So I will pass it on. Let's see, Caitlin, I don't think you've had a chance to share yet.
I haven't. Thank you for passing the torch. It's good to see a familiar face on here too. Hi, I'm Caitlin Gushu. I belong to 2 clubs. I'm always in the middle. I belong to Dublin AM Rotary Club as well as Rotaract Dublin, Ohio, which I helped to found, and I am now on the advisory board for it. Something that's been really tough is opening a club up during COVID. It's why it's been a challenge at times. I've noticed, at least with just younger generation, they kind of come and go as they please, and commitment is very hard for them. I don't know why. I get it. I don't know why. We have grown membership. One of our like club resolutions in January, each member is to bring in a new potential member as well as create a member in the year. So we have 10 members. So at the end of this year, we should have an extra 10 members, so to speak. So hopefully that will work. Right now, we're already 4 So we're second month into the year and we already have 4 new members. So that says something, which is pretty great for the group in general. We had a meeting spot, but the times changed because of COVID procedures and all that stuff. So we were meeting at the Dublin Library, which was great. But because of their time change, we had to find a new location that would offer free room for us. And so that was a little challenging in the new year. We found a good place though, and it seems to be relatively middle distance for everyone that's around us. So that's great. The one thing is, it's just having them attend meetings. The members just don't show. They show for fundraising, which is great, but the meetings are important as well. So I'd like some help in how to get them to the meetings. Just because the meetings are what is important for this club to grow. Our meetings are for committees to talk to each other, to understand what's coming up, what just happened, how much we raised, what we need. And it's a struggle when they don't come to the meetings.
Yeah. Caitlin,
Yeah.
Caitlin, I will call you.
Okay.
I will call you to discuss that with you.
Thank
Don't worry.
you.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And then just in general, marketing wise, a lot of people, when I go out to networking events and stuff, they're like, oh, what is Rotaract? And I explain to them what it is. And then I explain what Dublin Rotaract, what Rotaract Dublin, Ohio is. And they seem thrilled and enthusiastic about it. And then I contact them, and they come to a meeting or they come to a social event, but I only can get them to stay for like 1 or 2. I'd like for them to continue onward. So helping that would be priceless. But yeah, I love hearing all about everything else that everyone said. So thank you very much.
I think the only person, thanks, Caitlin. I'm glad that you're here. I think.
Yeah, sorry, I don't have dual screens like everyone else. I'm on my phone, so I only can I can only see Jenny and Mike and Steve. Steve was talking when I came on, so I don't know who else is. Price already talked. Matthew, maybe.
I think Mike Knoll is. I think we've heard from everyone but Mike.
Okay. Oh, hi, Mike. I see you now. I have to like scroll through everything. All right, Mike, it's your turn to talk.
Okay. Basically, the last year, I think we've added, well, at least in the last 3 months, 2 new members and maybe a corporate membership to the club. One of the things that hopefully, and it's going to take a while, that'll help in growth of the club is that we changed our requirement for meals. With meals getting so expensive, and originally our requirement was that you paid for 4 meals a month, and at $25 a meal, because we are a lunch club, that I thought was getting rather expensive, and finally convinced the club to go to a per diem where our members had 3.5 meals a quarter that they paid for. Now, if they wanted to come and eat more and could afford to do that, that's great. The whole logic was that we wanted new members to at least show up, at least hopefully 1 meeting a month for the meeting, and then of course show up for our social events and then a community service. And with that in mind, that would mean that our members were involved at least with 3 activities a month of what's going on. And that seemed to work pretty well. We had new members showing up at our fundraiser for our water project in South America, which we were doing we were working the concession stands at the Ohio University football games, which was kind of fun in the fact that we got to talk to each other when we had breaks and able to network with each other on what's going on in their lives and stuff other than just attending a meeting. Then we just had a conversation yesterday in the board meeting of, well, maybe we've gone the wrong way on this. And I told the board members, we just completed this in the last 4 months. We've got to give this a year, and we got to get our members on board of bringing people to the club and bring one to the club. at that point. So, you know, that's kind of where our club is or has been doing for the last year on membership at this point.
Awesome. Thanks. I think everyone has shared. And then quickly, I kind of have, just based on hearing what everyone was saying, and then some of you have messaged me, I think I have a question for us all to chew on here in a second, but I thought I'd give you a number. And that number is 3,219 because that's the number of members currently in our district. And actually not counting the Rotaract members yet, because they're not in DAC, the Rotaract members aren't reflected in DAC-DB yet. So we're still kind of working on that part. So that puts us at a net of -2 for the year, which I am pretty proud of, especially when I look at the January, we get a report at the end of like each month. And so even in the 10 days into February, the growth that's happened since then, I think we were at January 31, we were like -12. And I actually had run this report yesterday for a graphic that I was making, and we were at 3,218. So since yesterday, some clubs, so I don't know which club, some club has recruited a member. So to MJ kind of hinted at this, but one thing that, you know, she was mentioning kind of what we're building and this foundation that we're building and kind of getting into the habit of sharing Rotary, right? It's too good to keep it to ourselves. So getting into the habit of sharing Rotary and inviting people in to the work that we do. I think that we are developing that and we're kind of creating muscle memory with it, so to speak. And I don't have today's numbers. I ran this a couple of days ago, but if we look at a point in time over, you know, a couple of days ago, if we look from July up until, you know, February 5th of each year, just looking at new members alone, this year we've welcomed about 230 members so far. Last year, same point in time, we're at 90 new members. The year before that, which would be 2019, 2020, was 186 members. So it seemed like we were starting to build some momentum, and then the world turned upside down with COVID. And then the year before that, 18-19 was 121, and the year before that was 122. So, you know, by a significant amount, we are trending in a really, really good direction when we look at the patterns of welcoming new members. So I think the one piece, and this kind of gets into the question that I wanted to ask everyone, is the opportunity for us is growing retention, I think, and kind of really keeping our members engaged and keeping, you know, keeping them a part of our club and an active part of our club, right? We don't want just a bunch of names on a list. We really want people to be giving and getting value from their membership in Rotary and Rotaract. So the question I have, it came up kind of a couple of times, is getting people to the table, right? You have the members, right? We did that. We invited them, they joined, we gave them the pin, we taught them the 4-way test, or maybe whatever song, if you're a singing club, maybe you taught them the song. I keep saying that because I would love it if my club became a singing club, and there's like no way, but it's just because I love to sing. So they keep saying no. Sometimes we have a dance party at 7 o'clock in the morning, but I don't think they're going to let me start a chorus line. So we get people in, they've joined. How do we keep them engaged? What are some ideas of how do we get them at the meeting? How do we get them to show up at the project? How do we get them to come? And I'm just interested if, you know, the clubs that are having a lot of success with that, what are you doing? And I'll drop a link in the chat for you. Next month's membership chat is on planning high impact meetings that attract people to the table. And so that'll be the roundtable next month, is kind of planning meetings and having exciting meetings. But I'm just interested, whoever wants to unmute and kind of talk about those ideas.
What day in March is that for the meeting?
It is March 31st at 5:30 p.m. and it's just for the hour.
So Jenny, I think just to kind of answer your question about what clubs are doing, and I think Amanda has really kind of touched on that by really kind of mixing things up and mixing up, even though they've dealt with COVID and it really hasn't gotten kind of kicked off the way she had intended. But my feeling is what club presidents and club boards are deciding to kind of mix things up where you're meeting, a couple of times a month at your regular time. And then you've got a social that's maybe at a different time evening, and then working on a project that kind of broadens that time frame. So that's not at the same time every day. It kind of helps to get members, new and old, re-engaged, because there's other opportunities happening during the month. And I know that, like I said, I think I shared this with Amanda when I was down in Jackson. The Cambridge Club several years ago really did that, and they were kind of a dying club. They're a legacy club. Most of their members were probably, I can remember presenting a number of years ago, and I think the youngest member might have been 80 years old, and a few of them were kind of napping through my presentation, which that might not, that was probably just me and not them, but so they were extremely aggressive and changed their location and decided that they were going to meet one meeting in the morning, one at lunch, one social, and then that one service project. And so they tried that for a while, realized that the morning meeting was a disaster, that nobody wanted to meet in the mornings, but they did find that the social and the service project was really taking hold, and they have done a tremendous job over the years of adding new members and getting some new young members into that club. So I'm seeing a lot of clubs kind of changing the meeting model, which seems to be successful.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Anyone
With,
have go ahead, Caitlin.
It's okay. With Rotary Dublin, Ohio, in the beginning, I asked the club how they wanted to run it and all that stuff, so to speak. A few had really great suggestions, actually, and we've still stayed within that model, so to speak, where we'll meet on a Tuesday, like the first Tuesday of the month in the evening, and then the next month it'll be in the morning, and then the next month it'll be in the evening, and then the next month it'll be in the morning. So that way, those that are available on Tuesdays, they have the opportunity to come in the morning or the evening. And then our social service events, those are, socials that have a service attached to it. They're every third Thursday of the month, specifically because most of the members had said they're free some Thursdays of the month, but more than anything, their Fridays are, free time, and their Saturdays and Sundays are free time, which it's great that they have free time. It's wonderful. They should use that free time to help others. But that's just me and my own opinion. So every third Thursday we have our social service, which like for March, it's we don't have one for February because we just couldn't get it in time. But for March, we're going to Brush Crazy in Dublin, and 50% of our proceeds that evening go towards our community outreach program. So with that, our social service aspect, we have like some cocktail. We have like, it's always BYOB because I don't want to be liable for anything in general. But we'll always have some like small little appetizer plates out and things like that. And that seems to like bring people in when there's free food. And then I always have for the meetings to get people to go to a meeting. This time around, it worked for February. It didn't work for January because everyone had COVID. But for February, I put a gift card out there. Like if you showed up to a meeting, at the end of the meeting, we would pick whoever gets the gift card. And that brought at least 10 people and 5 extra people to the meeting. So we had 15 in February, and that was our highest meeting count in the last 2 years that we've been formed. It was a Woodhouse gift card. But yeah, those are popular gift cards. They get people in. But yeah, I mean, I try to do icebreakers and things like that. But there's only so many icebreakers that you can do with people when there's only 2 at a meeting. Yeah.
I'm looking to see if anybody's trying to unmute. It's always that awkward where everybody's unmuting at the same time.
I think if you Jenny, it's Mike Knoll. I think if you do something similar that's been done in Athens County, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, the timeline, I can't remember because I'm old enough. We decided that there were people who just couldn't meet our time schedule of noon on Mondays. And so our club started the Sunrise Club way back then at that time. And that club has done very well with individuals like Jenny and Mark Bising and those group of individuals who were the original involvement with the club. So we got around the issue of time requirement by having Sunrise start. And then also everyone pretty much knows that, if they can't make a noon meeting, that they might think about going to the Sunrise meeting, which I've done several times over the years then with it. So that was kind of how we took care of the issue. Some people couldn't make it on Mondays because that was their busy time at the office and stuff. They could still be involved in Rotary by doing at that point of doing the morning club at that point then. And of course, we have to have speakers. I mean, if we ever did away with speakers in our club, I think our club would die. That is the mainstay. And so we're fortunate there's always good speakers like collegiate coaches to come and different university professors. And so we have a good variety of topics that can occur with our meetings that we do then. We have, we've gone down from 140 members back in 2002 to just around 90. But I can also say that probably the AM Club or the Sunrise Club with Jenny, they're up around 60, 70 now.
Yeah.
Of members.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
Considering all that's going on with the age of our club and bringing that club on, I think we've kept Rotary strong in Athens County by doing that at this time.
How's that for a plug, Steve Heiser? On starting new clubs.
No, absolutely. As and I use this phrase often. That's really Steve Sambo, taught me, which was saying, "What better gift could you give your community than a new Rotary Club? To perform service within the within your community." So, absolutely, and and Caitlin, I'll call you. There's, it is not easy to get something up and going and started. I will say this, Mike. Mike is talking about legacy clubs, and you need a speaker every week. I'm in a legacy club, Columbus. Without a speaker every week, they wouldn't know what to do. Many of us are in those kinds of clubs. Many of the newer clubs that are being formed and or Rotaract clubs do not have speakers every week. Just that's not why they want to gather. And so I don't think it's a must by any means. But you're right. I mean, I think they're like anything else. We have to give people a reason to come to the meeting.
Yeah.
And so it's and you have to have, and people have to feel the enthusiasm, and they have to, want to feel that fellowship of seeing the other persons in the club.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because I always say that Rotary's fellowship and service, and there's that fellowship part. It's like when I go to a Rotary meeting, I want to catch up with the persons in my club who I haven't seen all week,
Mm-hmm.
or for 2 weeks, whatever it may be. You need a certain mass. If there's only 2 or 3 people, you're right. That's not. That's probably you need a little bigger mass, but you got to start somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And we can work on a number of different things. Say you're going to talk about that next service project. Say you're going to talk about that next social.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, does anybody from Dublin AM come to your meetings other than you?
So, and okay, so full transparency, let's start like in 2019 when we began, right? We had 3 members at each meeting, 3 Rotary members at each meeting, which really helped because then we would have a Rotary member sit next to a potential Rotaract, and then we would have a Rotary member sit next to it, and that, how that goes. And it was really great. And I think we had like 15 people at that time. And then COVID came out and about, and it just scared everyone away. And so we really had to regroup. And from that, we had about 8 people that had confirmed with us that they were still in it to win it. We did Zoom meetings and stuff. And then we finally got back in person in fall of 2021. And that's when it started getting to be a little bit better again. But I haven't had any Dublin AM Rotary attend a meeting because honestly, and this is what's kind of upsetting, no one would come to the meetings. It would just be me in the meeting room for 30 minutes waiting to see if anybody would matriculate in. And I would 100% love to have a speaker. In fact, I'm trying to line one up for our May meeting with a golfer. And it's in the process, it's in the works. But I'm just so afraid that a speaker shows up, gets all set up, and then no one shows up. And it's like, I don't want to do that to that person.
Yeah, what about, and maybe maybe the club still needs to be meeting virtually. They're not ready to meet in person for whatever reason.
During meetings, virtual is still an option. I just set my computer up on the table and everyone kind of sees everyone's faces. And if anyone wants to chime in, we give them that opportunity. It's super hard, I guess, for them to just plug a meeting code in and walk around their house without a video on. I don't know.
I think Caitlin too, because I definitely think that everyone on this call can relate to this of the fear. I can relate to it every single month when I hold a membership chat. I'm like, please let people come.
I'm not gonna lie. At like 11:55, I'm like, "Where's my phone? Is it worth it? I don't know."
Please let people. So I definitely can relate, and I think it's that kind of keep trying different stuff. I think thinking about the speakers and stuff, and I don't, if anyone else has stuff to chime in. Although Caitlin, I think do you have a pickup run to do?
I don't anymore.
Oh, okay, today. Cool. I didn't want to be like holding you.
So it's every second Thursday of the month. I don't have to pick her up. Oh, okay. But I didn't know about last week because she was sick and missed school. So I didn't know if they still needed to pick up today. But we're good. We're good. Thank you for calling me out on that, because I'd be like, oh, I'm already late.
I will mention that Zoom is not a big thing for us because we have so many people who are kind of challenged when it comes to Zoom. But what we have done that's been pretty successful is rather than have an online meeting through Zoom, we will do it through Facebook Live, which not only gets a lot of our members, but we have a lot of people who are not necessarily members, but subscribe to our Facebook page. And so community members who maybe aren't members, who can't make meetings, teachers who are on their lunch break, so it's a good way to get the Rotary exposure to members and non-members. And then we are giving our members credit if they're watching the video and commenting throughout the video so that we know that they're paying attention. So that's an option too.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think sometimes, especially, clubs in more rural areas or where like maybe it's a little bit smaller, that not necessarily having a meeting place with tons of technology. And I mean, I've been to Amanda and Erin's club. It's using a phone and someone's kind of walking around, making sure that everyone can hear and stuff. So it doesn't have to necessarily be really fancy and elaborate. I know that there are some clubs that have very intricate setups, but it can be pretty simple and still be really, really effective.
Yeah, I'm still not used to our tripod thing at the meetings. I'm just like, what? Oh, I can't see me. That's okay. It doesn't need to see me.
Yeah, Mike, I think your club does you guys have a video set up, right?
Yeah, we have the hybrid where we've got a phone set up in the middle of the room. We have the speaker with the laptop facing the speaker, so you can see him big at that. And I enjoy that because over the last 3 months, I'm old enough that we have traveled out to Las Vegas to visit children, down to Florida to visit brothers. And so I can still stay in contact with the Rotary Club and the activities and the announcements with our hybrid meeting. And we had no idea what was going on when Zoom started and someone said they were doing a hybrid meeting. It's like, okay, we got to find out about this because we were concerned that COVID would kill our club if we did not do that. And I think we averaged 5 or 6 members, because we have an older generation club, who stop in because they've got a class they've got to teach, or they got stuff they got to get done, or afraid of COVID. And so it's turned out well for us at this time. And so we're excited about that. And I like to find out more about Facebook and whether we ought to be doing both Zoom and Facebook in our meetings. So maybe some of our other members might be willing to do that, or younger members at this time. So it's just, what I like is these kind of meetings and going to the master's classes that we've had over the last 2 years, because I hear what other clubs are doing. And it's like, it sets off a light bulb like, oh yeah, we ought to really look into this and how to do things. So I like to give a plug for a district assembly. That's another good place to go if you can get there on a Saturday or Friday afternoon when we have the district assembly, and hear what clubs are doing, because it greatly inspires you, as well as gives you ideas of how you can improve your club and the activities in the club with that. And we've been able to do that over the years by doing little things like Happy Bucks. I tried to, during my presidency, have a tail twister where you fine people $1 for their name in the newspaper. That thing tanked in no time. I mean, I was getting all kinds of harassing phone calls going, we don't like this. But the members had no problem at all standing up and bragging about having another child or a grandchild or a son or daughter going to an ice hockey tournament and doing well at that. So those kind of things that I learned at basically things like this, I think is very important.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
So the Rotary of St Claresville, we have about 74 members, and we have 69 that are active. And the one thing, we do the Happy Dollars, and we have a sheriff, and she absolutely raises so much money because she calls people out on sports events, on the best dressed, somebody who's wearing shorts or whatever during the winter. So she does really well. We also do our auction items. Our auction items, they bring in $150 and plus every week. We have such wonderful times with the auction items. Everybody looks forward to it. In fact, last week, someone auctioned off a bag of hangers. Now that sounds funny, but we did a bag of hangers, and they were great hangers actually, but we had so much fun with that, that it kept everybody engaged. And the thing is, when the people that come to the Rotary, we all have that give back to the community, service above self mentality. So we all are there for the same reason, but this is such a diverse group that we love to share. We just have so many things to share that we want to send that out to most people, to everybody. So we do Facebook posts, we have a person who does all that. I also share it through the chamber, which also gives us another platform to share what we do at Rotary, which is really important because we need to get that word out there. So when we do the food pantry, I make sure we take pictures and we show it and we put it out there so our community knows what we do. And that's how we get more members.
Hey, Wendy, can you talk about the auction that you do each week?
The auctions are done. They're just, we have a calendar. So everybody knows when your auction item is, coming up. So last week, or for Tuesday, we had a lady who brought in a Valentine's box, and she had like a couple bottles of wine. She has some chips and olives and whatnot. And that went, I actually bought it, and that went for $75. Now I could have went out and bought that stuff way cheaper, but it was more of the competitive that we have going on in our Rotary. Like I don't want someone else to get it, I want to get it. So we had I also brought in it's called Washington Wild Things. They are it's a baseball team up in Pittsburgh. Well, they came down to talk, and the gentleman, I had the auction item, and I had a bag full of just all kind of things for tailgating, and he gave me 13 tickets, free tickets to the game. And there was no, I mean, he just did it because he wanted to reach out to us here in Belmont County. He's just a state away. So it was just the idea that we bring in more things through just reaching out to other businesses. And that's what we fill our baskets with for the auction item. And it's almost like it's almost like you get into into our St. Mary's Church, and everybody goes to see who has the auction item and what is that auction item. And then we kind of talk about it at the tables. Like, okay, if I don't get it and you get it, we'll split it. And how about we do that? And at one point, it went up to $200, and we split it between a bunch of us. And then we all just took a little bit of the auction item out, for us. So it's really a lot of fun, but that's what we do.
I have a question on that. Is it done by sign on a piece of paper, bidding on it, or is it actually an auctioneer that stands up? What's my bid for this?
Well, whoever brings it, like I brought my basket and I stood up and I would say, this is what is in my basket. So I start out the bid by saying $50. And then somebody will say 50, and I'll say, okay, 55. And then we go back and forth. And then it gets into the 70, 71, 72, 73. So whoever brings the auction item is the one who talks about the auction item and is who's the auctioneer.
Boy, I'm excited about that. I think that's a great idea. I think our club would have fun with that also. So thanks for telling us about it.
You're welcome.
One twist on that, if you're not looking like for higher dollar, people aren't looking to spend higher dollars at, a Rotary meeting or wherever if you don't think that will fit for your club. One other option that we do at a lot of events, not for Rotary, but for some other things, are dollar auctions. And like people bring dollar bills, or you can even do you can buy, make fake dollar bills and, cash them out to people, but you set a timer. So I don't know if you've ever seen one like that, but you set a timer and it might be 3 minutes or 1 minute, 30 seconds, or it might be, 4 minutes or whatever it is. And nobody knows what the time is. And so everybody holds their dollars up and the auctioneer just counts. So they just sit there and when they point to your dollar, somebody plucks your dollar and they take it and they go 1, 2. So people are only spending $1 or maybe 4 or 5 or 10 or however many dollars they decide to put up. But then things may go for 70, 80, however many dollar bills you get in that time period. So that's a fun twist on that too, if you're looking for something where maybe everybody's giving a little bit versus just one person buying the auction item.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. Thanks for sharing, both Erin and Wendy. I appreciate that.
So Jenny, can I just give a shout out to Wendy and AJ there at St. Claresville? They, with having Fran DeWine there on Tuesday, I want to commend them. They were able to get their local TV station was there and interviewed. And so they had great coverage on their local station. They did a great post, as she mentioned, on Facebook. So you did an excellent job at getting the word out and talking about the Imagination Library and the good support the Rotary is giving that program. So kudos to you and AJ and everybody involved.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations. I want to, we just have a minute or two left. So if anyone has any last minute things that they definitely want to share, but I do want to congratulate and thank both Wendy and Mike Knoll. Both of them sponsored new members into their respective clubs last month. So they're, what is it you say? They're talking the talk or walking, they're not walking, they're talking the walk, walking the walk, whatever that thing is, they're doing it.
They're walking the talk, talking the walk.
Yeah.
Actually, Jenny, we actually twisted one of the guy's arms to become our president-elect. We asked him 3 times, and finally I called him because I knew him personally. Says, you need to, this is a fun thing to do. You meet a lot of great people. We send our president-elects to the international convention at no cost, so that they catch the Rotary bug at that point, the Rotary virus, we call it that, since that's the term now. And so, yeah, it's fun to bring someone in.
Jenny, can I do a shameless plug for a second, since we've got a few people on here with Interact clubs?
Yeah, you whatever you want, District Governor.
Thank you. So I think Mike Knoll mentioned it, the District Assembly. So District Assembly and District Conference are happening April 8th and 9th at the Cherry Valley Hotel in Newark, Ohio. And we are having a youth component, first time ever in a district conference having a youth component. So we're looking for clubs to sponsor 1 or 2 or how many ever they can afford to sponsor some Interact students, or if you don't have Interact, high school students to come to the event on that Friday, April 8th. And so Ro Morrow, who is typically the one that puts together the RILA program, RILA's been canceled again for the 3rd year in a row. So our students haven't had a chance to do kind of leadership training and so forth. So Ro is putting together a program based kind of on a RILA-esque things as far as leadership development and so forth. And we do have Flavio Balog, who's coming back from New York. He's with Outward Bound Peace Builders. He's going to be there to do some experiential peace training, peace building, and talk about positive peace and so forth. So it's going to be a phenomenal event. So those of you who shared it, you had Interact clubs and you've got some youth involvement, I would love for you to sponsor at least 1 or 2 kids to come to this event. It's going to be $65. Lunch and snacks will be provided, and there'll be a little swag and a certificate and so forth. So thank you for letting me take some of the time to do a shameless plug.
Mary Jane, I'm going to suggest to our club that the money that we budgeted for RILA just be used to send as many kids as we can with that money.
I would love that. Yes. And you should have gotten a survey, Amanda. So if you could fill that survey out to help Bro, because she's nervous. So we're really trying to get at least 2 students from every club. We would love to have 100 students there, but I love that, Amanda. And I would suggest that's for all clubs that maybe have budgeted for RILA, do that. So thank you. That's exciting news. Thanks for sharing.
Hey, Mary Jane, why on Friday? My kids are in school.
Well, so it is a Friday. We thought that the students that would be attending this, so it's April 8th, so they're near the end of their school season, and usually Interact, and some of the high school students, usually they have, knowing that their schools, knowing that this is going to be a leadership training, that they would have the opportunity to maybe be excused for school on that Friday. So it was just the day we chose. So we're hoping that superintendents and schools would understand, and they would be excited for those kids to have those experiences, because they'll be able to network with kids from all throughout our district. But I do understand the challenge, and I've had a couple of people say,
Yeah.
but we're hoping that, like I said, these are probably students with good grade point averages, probably kids that do a lot of activities, and that they would be excused for that day, hopefully from school. So a good question though, Mike. Thanks.
Well, we are at the end of our time. I do appreciate everyone joining and chatting today. I think hopefully everyone walked away with at least 1 or 2 new ideas to be excited about. March 31st is our next chat, and it's going to be focusing on, kind of getting people engaged during the meeting times, and sharing some tips to make meetings exciting and really engaging. So I hope you'll join us then. I think the link and everything's already up on the district calendar on rotary6690.org. Otherwise, I'm here if you need me. Please feel free to reach out to me for anything that I can help with. And otherwise, happy Thursday and have a great weekend.
Jenny, if you could just email me that link so I can send it out to the directors that aren't part of the district site.
Yep, will do.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Okay.
Jen.
Hey,
Good talk.
Caitlin.
Good session. Thanks.
Caitlin, I'm going to send you an email to try to get with you, Caitlin, to talk about your Rotaract Club. And for example, if you have a president-elect already selected, we'd like to get that person plugged in maybe for the president-elect training seminar. And also some things that are happening with district assembly planning and so forth. You're on mute.
Cool. Yeah, no, I'm for it. Let's do it.
And also for some
Okay, and I'll be
reason,
in.
the Dublin AM Rotaract Club is not even listed on DACDB under your club.
So that's another thing. We are in the process of